Hi, I'm Evie Kimsing, editor for IdentityWeek.net. I'm sat down now with Joon, who's the Market Development Director for the APAC region at the FIDO Alliance. There's been lots of discussion around passkeys and a move away from passwords at the conference so far. So I'm going to jump in. How have the FIDO authentication standards helped to usher government support and engagement for passwordless systems?
Thanks for the question, Evie. So FIDO Alliance, we are the non-profit organization with the over 300 members from all over the world. And 10 of them happens to be government-level members that come from US, UK, Australia, Korea, Thailand, Vietnam, just to name a few of them. And we do work with them through what we call it as working groups. So we have a government deployment working group, and we have regional working groups. So through these working groups, our members are engaged in very meaningful conversation with the policymakers and government agencies throughout the world. So, for example, through these conversations, we learn that these governments implement FIDO because it's much secure and easy to use compared to legacy approach, which is a password or OTPs. And at the same time, it doesn't compromise a lot of burdens on their shoulder, so to speak. It doesn't cost a lot to implement them, and it's much easier to for their citizens to learn because they only use the approach they already are using for unlocking their phones. Single gesture, but multi-factor. What you know, what you are, what you have. So that's how we are helping the governments to adopt FIDO authentication.
And what about your private sector members? Are you seeing adoption across the board, or can we expect, a slower transition to passkeys?
Yeah, so that's something I noticed here this week. Up until last year, when I joined the Identity Asia, my conversation with the private sectors began with, "Hey, who are you? What do you do?" Those kind of questions. But this year it's very different. They asked me, "Hey, how do we adopt passkeys? Where do we start? Who do we team up with? Who can be our partners?" So that's a great milestone for us to see. So that's our members call it. We are at the tipping point of a passkey adoption, passkey deployment. Just to name you a few of them, like a PayPal, the one who gave us the keynote yesterday, and the Air New Zealand who are with us this week, Amazon, Binance, even the Hyatt, the hotel, and Nintendo. In TikTok, Uber, everybody's adopting passkeys, so we really appreciate that. And then, usually not just FIDO Alliance, but any kind of a global standardization efforts, private sectors usually lead the way first, and then the government follows. Just like you heard from GovTech yesterday morning, they are looking into and they're studying passkeys to enhance the security and usability of their national identity efforts. So, that's how we see the differences coming along.
Well, I did watch that keynote. It was amazing. What is the understanding now then of modern authentication methods and technologies? You touched on, the password and now passkeys. Are we looking at evidence-based systems, biometrics, government-issued documents as the future?
That's a great question, Evie. So whatever technology you are introducing, the one you just mentioned, biometric, multi-factor authentication, passwordless, the key point, the core is that keeping our citizens' identity and information safe, secure, at the same time, make sure that they are easy to use. So for example, the key word that we're focusing is phishing resistant, multi-factor authentication, and of course, enhanced user experience. So not just using what you know, which is a password or OTPs. We want to introduce what you have and what you are, which is your device, your authenticator, and then your fingerprint, for example. So, on top of that, we just have to make sure there is a balance between security and usability, because it's a funny thing. It's like it's riding on a seesaw. When you try to improve one thing, always the other fall down. So, it's so important for us to recognize keeping these balances.
How do FIDO standards adequately provide the technical specifications that we need in these standards?
Yeah, that's a great question, Evie. We are open standard, and we are super focused on interoperability of our specs, and then make sure that scalability is at the global level. So if you look at our members, you will see everybody from all the different parts of the corner. Like platform companies, device manufacturers, and the banking industry and government, services providers, so on and so on. So our specs and our guidelines are all based on these members, these being named members, their guidelines and their pains in the industry, so to speak. So from the very beginning, we are super focused on making an open standard and make it scalable, and then have it interoperable.
And you mentioned your members' collaboration. How can we mobilize global tech leaders into improving kind of authentication methods, the standards, the practice within the industry?
Yeah, that's a great question, Evie. So I think one way to do it is make sure that what we introduce to market is supposed to be doing what they're supposed to be doing, and then make sure the quality is up to the level, and of course the security is up to the level that we're requiring. And one way we are doing is providing certification programs. We have various certification programs to make sure that the interoperability of the products and services, and then security levels of authenticators, and then the performance level of the biometric components that our users are using on their devices. And of course, we make sure the people who are deploying and educating have adequate skills at the level. So that's one way that we make sure that the services, specs, and the guidelines in the market are adequately provided.
It's been fascinating to talk to you today. I'm looking forward to your panel later. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Yeah, thank you very much, Evie.